Hey friends, welcome back to She's At It Again. My name's Tanya and I was not planning on making a video this morning. I just got finished walking the dogs and this is our last warm day of the fall. It's supposed to turn cold this weekend. I'm getting prepared. So I'm going to be making what's called BBQ Chicken Chili. I made this for an event last week for about between 120 and 150 people. And everybody went nuts over this soup. Now, I had 3 different soups served at this event, one being a day camp vegetable soup, which we actually have the video on YouTube if you want to watch that. I also had loaded baked potato soup, which we also have that video on YouTube if you want to look at that. And we'll try to link those in the description of this video as well. But this was the one that I did not have a video on it already, so I want to make that for you. And we're going to start out by using some dry beans and cooking those in a slow cooker. Now, you do not have to use dry beans. You can buy canned beans of this kind, and I'll tell you all about those later on, but I just wanted to show you what I do to prepare for it. It's going to turn cold tomorrow, and I'm going to let these beans cook in the slow cooker today, so they'll be ready and be cooled off, ready to just add to our ingredients for tomorrow. I'll also get out a package of chicken thighs. You can use boneless, skinless chicken breast if you want to. I just find that thighs are just a little bit more flavorful. And literally, the fun thing about this soup is I'm going to dump it all in a slow cooker when I start making it. This is just in preparation for making it. But when I start making the soup, you can put those chicken thighs in there completely frozen. You're going to slow cook this all day. And when you go to take it out of the slow cooker, you just stir it and the chicken falls apart into shreds. It is the most beautiful, most fragrant, and the most delicious soup, that these ladies had, apparently, because everybody wanted the recipe for it. Or a lot of people walked up to me and said, do you share your recipes? Absolutely. If I serve this at an event with that many people, there's no way I'm going to serve one of my secret recipes, which I only have like 3 or 4. Okay, so we're going to start out. This is what I keep my dry beans in. Sometimes I order them from Azure. A lot of times we locally start getting them at natural grocers because we have a few locations that are within driving distance to us. So I'm going to use a 1/2 cup measure, and I'm going to get a 1/2 cup of pinto beans, a 1/2 cup of dry navy beans, and these are all organic, but use what you have. And then a 1/2 cup of red kidney beans. Now, these are the shorter kind of kidney beans. This is what these look like. They're not the big giant kidney beans. These are just the smaller red kidney beans. And because dry beans, when cooked, usually expand several times their size, so a 1/2 cup will actually turn into a 1.5 cups, and that's what a can of cooked beans is a 1.5 cups. So I'm going to rinse these real well in hot water just to make sure any dust or debris that was on them doesn't get cooked. When I was a kid, I used to help my Nana look the beans. She called it looking the beans. And what that meant was we were picking out any debris like stones or bad beans. And it's funny, she would just find the tiniest little spot on a bean and she'd say, oh, that's not a good one. Me, I'm like, it's fine. I ain't gonna kill anybody. But I hardly ever find any debris or any bad beans in these ones that we buy from Natural Grocer or from Azure, either one. I used to buy big giant containers of it from Azure. And it's Azure Standard that I'm talking about. If you're not familiar with Azure Standard, you can look them up on the internet. And what you do is you order from home just throughout the month, and then you order online, pay online, and they're located in the Pacific Northwest. Fabulous customer service. I mean, fabulous customer service. They are so kind and so willing to work with you on anything. But they make deliveries to many areas once a month. So ours comes to a local church, and the big semi comes around and pulls around the back, and everybody that has placed an order gets their email, lets them know when the drop-off time is, and you know the date way ahead of time. And you just show up, and everybody helps take the things off the truck. The driver will help as well, and you take and you put the things out in the parking lot in different piles depending on whose name is on the label. And just a sweet, sweet group of people, very sweet community that orders from Azure. Okay, we have our beans in our slow cooker, and I want to show you, this is how technical I am. I put this is my 6-cup slow cooker on here, because if it doesn't tell, sometimes I'll put things in here and go, I don't even know how much I can fit in here. I know it's this, but when it expands and cooks, it may be this amount. So I always make sure I write with a Sharpie on my slow cookers how much it will hold maximum. So I'm going to put some water in this. We're going to slow cook these for several hours, probably most of the day today. And then when I come back for the next part of the video, I will hopefully have on different clothes. It will be a different day. And I will show you putting the chicken and all the other ingredients in this. And literally we're just going to dump them in, turn it on, and let it cook low and slow, either overnight or most of the day. And it's going to be one fabulous soup. So I look forward to sharing that with you. So stick around and we'll finish up in just a bit. Okay, friends, back, and this is the next day. Different clothes. It's cooler weather today. You can tell because I have on long sleeves. All right, again, this recipe is called BBQ Chicken Chili, and this was so popular the other night. I knew I had to share it with you. I couldn't wait until, like, months from now and go, oh yeah, that soup recipe. No, you need this for the cooler weather. This is a good one. All right, first thing we're going to do is take about 1 pound to 1.5 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken. This is organic boneless, skinless chicken thighs. And the reason they're out of the package is because I had to look over them. That's the only disadvantage I can think of when using chicken thighs, is because every once in a while there's just a teeny tiny piece of a bone or gristle or something that I do not want in my food. And you have to look at it really carefully to pick it out. So we're going to take this and dump it in our slow cooker container. And this is a 6-quart. I'll show you how big this is. About like that. So 6-quart container. And this is easily doubled, tripled, quadrupled, however big you want to make it. I don't remember how many batches I made of this the other day, but it was a lot. It filled a giant stock pot. We want about 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Just put that right on the chicken. This is one of those non-stir things. You don't have to mix it up, stir it up once you get in there. You literally dump it in there, layer on top of layer. You stir it when it's done, and the chicken just falls apart into shreds. It's beautiful. 4 cloves of garlic, minced. So I'm going to eyeball this because I use the pre-chopped garlic. I'm going to get about close to 1 tablespoon. That's about how big that is. Dump it right on top of there. You'll see I have my trusty sidekick right up there. She has to watch me cook, make sure I do everything right. Am I okay, Zoe? Next ingredient is 1 small chopped onion. So I already took the outside skins off of this. I don't want that dark part on there because that's probably a little dry. So I'm going to cut this in just some hefty slices, and then I'll use my chopper because it cuts it pretty fine. I'll show you what the grids on this look like. This is handy, especially if you're chopping a lot of onions, or if you like me and it just burns your eyes so much, you'll do anything to keep from standing right above it when you're chopping it. So that chops it pretty fine. Dump it right on top of the chicken and garlic. Next ingredient is a half cup of ketchup. I'll probably need to get a measuring cup for that. And as much as I'm not fond of ketchup, it's just one of the ingredients you have to use in there. It has so much sugar in it. And that's why I'm not a fan of it. Okay, so we're half a cup of sugar, or yeah, Freudian slip there. Half a cup of ketchup. Next ingredient is, it says 3 tablespoons of brown sugar, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put about 3 tablespoons of sugar in there. And then I'm going to put blackstrap molasses in it because, as you all know, if you've watched my videos for very long, brown sugar is simply regular white sugar and molasses. So, looks like maybe a teaspoon and a half, close to that, of molasses. All right, next one is 2 teaspoons of yellow mustard. When I was cooking this the other day, somebody walked into the commercial kitchen where I was making it and they said, "Ooh, it smells like you're making really good baked beans." So that's kind of what these smell like, is really, really good baked beans. Not the cheap kind, the homemade kind that have a lot of really good smoky flavor to it. All right, that is our mustard. So 2 tablespoons, or 2 teaspoons of yellow mustard, 2 tablespoons of cider vinegar. And I'm not going to hold that over the slow cooker. I'm going to hold it over the cup just in case I over pour. It doesn't accidentally go in there with the stuff I'm making. Two tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. And our beans that we cooked yesterday, remember the beginning of the video? This is what they look like. I cooked them all together. And just the water that you've cooked them in, that's fine. You don't want an overabundance of liquid in there, but whatever would be in just an average can of beans, you can use that much liquid in there. It makes it fine. Next is 4 ounces of canned green chilies that are diced. I do not remember where I found this recipe several years ago, but I've obviously changed it up just a little bit. That's just what cooks do. They change it to their liking. And some of the ingredients were not ones that I normally keep in my kitchen, not things that I feel safe eating, so I just changed it to a healthier version. So this is about as healthy as I've gotten it to so far. The next ingredient is, let's see, 2 teaspoons of smoked salt. This is just bulk smoked salt that I buy from our Good Measure Market or natural food store in town. It's also called Salish salt. You can get Applewood smoked, or I can't remember what the other, maybe alderwood that's smoked. This is Applewood smoked sea salt. Let's see, what did I say? 2 teaspoons? Okay, 2 teaspoons of smoked salt. It already smells good and it's not even cooking. That's pathetic. Pathetic in a good way. 2 teaspoons of chili powder. One teaspoon of ground cumin. One teaspoon of smoked paprika. Anytime you see the bottles that don't have like a store label on it that's just my handwriting, that just means I've gotten it at the bulk section of the, again, Good Measure Market or natural food store. Okay, 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika. Half teaspoon of ground black pepper. We'll fill that halfway up. Dump it right on there. 14.5 ounces of chicken broth. This could be chicken stock, this could be bone broth. Mine is actually homemade bone broth, but try to get the kind that does not have monosodium glutamate in it. And I know it's hard to find, but you're just gonna have to look hard. Look hard and probably fork over some more money if you're getting a store container of it. But if you make your own, super easy. Refer back to my video on how to make bone broth. You just won't believe how simple it is. And nothing goes to waste. Absolutely not one thing goes to waste. That's the beauty of making bone broth. That and the health benefits are just phenomenal. All right, that's it. That's all our ingredients. I'm gonna put the lid on this. I'll put it out in the sunroom. It's gonna smell so good out there. And I'm gonna cook this on low for about 6 to 8 hours, probably closer to 8 hours. You can cook it on high for 3 to 4 hours and have the same effect, but we're gonna cook it on low today. And then when we come back, I'll let you take a look at it and see what it looks like in its final state. It's gonna be so good. So we'll see you back here in just a bit. Okay, so I went and got this soup out of the sunroom. It's been cooking for about 7.5 hours, but I started to stir it up and just show it to you in its finished state. But what I wanna do is show you what I'm talking about when I say this chicken's gonna fall apart. So here's a piece of chicken and I'm just pushing it up next to the side of the crock pot. Remember, I put the chicken in first, so it's on the bottom. And there's big chunks in there. But all you have to do is just take the ladle and push on it like that, and it just falls apart into shreds. Now, the more I stir this, the more it's gonna fall apart and the thicker it's gonna look. But this smells fabulous. We won't be eating for another, probably 1.5 hours. So I'm just gonna keep this on warm, keep it in the house here, and we've got some friends coming over to eat with us. But this is what we're gonna enjoy for dinner tonight. But I wanted you to see what this looks like. At first, you're gonna take the lid off and go, it's not thick, it's just kind of runny. But the more you stir it, the thicker it gets. Now, it's not gonna be super thick where you're just gonna have to, you know, scoop it out with a heavy spoon or anything. It's still gonna have those juices in there. But this is so fragrant and so good. So you can literally put your chicken in there, like I said earlier in the video, in the frozen state, and it's just going to cook all together. But you can use canned beans, or you could do like I did and start with dry beans and use those. And there's Lacey, she's checking it out too. She knows something's going on up here. Normally she doesn't like the cameras. As soon as I turn them on, she heads for the other room. But she's checking it out today. All right, so we will have the recipe, of course, in the description of the video. We hope you give this a try and enjoy it as much as we do. Thanks for joining us, guys. Have a good week.